After canceled school visits and plenty of controversy, U.S. Education Secretary Linda McMahon was back in our home state today, meeting with students in Seymour.
And Matt McFarland is your reporter covering New Haven County. He was there and has the story.
Part pep rally with free giveaways, part history quiz show.
Why did some colonists remain loyal to Britain during the Revolution?
These middle schoolers answering questions about Connecticut and its role in the American Revolution.
Is it A? It is A. Fear of losing land or wealth.
But some argue U.S. Education Secretary Linda McMahon's History Rocks tour is also political and partisan.
Certainly states have the right to do things that are important for them in their schools, but when federal funding is involved and the programs are not in accordance with what the administration believes are federal funding, then we look to those programs to say they need to change.
Today's event, the 49th visit across the country with the program focusing on moments that shaped the founding of America. But critics have claimed the Trump administration is trying to whitewash some parts of U.S. history while tasking McMahon to eliminate the Department of Education. Seymour's Democratic Town Committee posting on Facebook, her school visits raise serious questions as she has been relentlessly defending, even this week, the dismantling of public education and pushing for privatizing schools. Things that will hurt us, not help us here in Seymour. Earlier this year, parents and teachers in Fairfield and Thomaston pushed back on planned visits there. The events eventually canceled. As for the appearance here in Seymour today, Superintendent said welcoming the secretary, simple. A chance to highlight Seymour Public Schools while also stressing a continued need for federal dollars.
Why that I wanted to host this or be a participant is to really emphasize, again, the importance of federal funding.
In addition to meeting with kids today, McMahon also sat down with local superintendents and elected officials. And while the visit may have sparked controversy for some, as our country gets set to celebrate its 250th birthday, the school's principal made it pretty clear about why he feels America is one of a kind.
Look around and look at everybody that's in this room. That's what our country looks like. We're people of different races and creeds, colors, religions. That's what makes America unique.
Your reporter in Seymour, Matt McFarland, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.